Welcome to the Boys and Ball podcast. I'm Daniel. We're here with the boys, Mr. Brucey,
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing tonight?
and with our other boy, JT.
Hey, let's go. How you guys doing? Welcome to episode one.
All right. So this podcast is, about all things sports related, but we're mainly going to focus on the NFL, college football, baseball, and basketball. And so we're going to get into introductions. We're going to start with Mr. Brucey.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So, a little bit about me. Teams I like to follow. I'm a New York Football Giants fan. Yeah, heckle me for Daniel Jones. I get it. Haha, it's hilarious. The Ohio State Buckeyes are my favorite football team. I have my favorite NBA team is the Toronto Raptors, but I don't really follow basketball as closely as I should. But we're definitely gonna get on it and do the research that way you guys can get some good content from us on the basketball world as well.
All right, JT.
Yeah, I'm a big Cleveland sports guy. So the Browns, Cavaliers are my teams, and then I'm also the Ohio State football fan, and anything Ohio State related sports wise, I follow pretty closely.
All right, I'm Daniel. I'm a big Pittsburgh guy. I like the Steelers, the Pirates, the Penguins, but I'm also a pretty big Patriots fan too. That's probably my number one football team. And then I'm also for college football, I'm a Penn State guy. All right, so to start out episode one, we're gonna each go around and we're gonna talk about some looks we've seen in the preseason, mainly about our teams. So I'm gonna hand it off to Mr. Boosie to start first to talk about the New York Giants and what he's seen this preseason.
All right, so to kick off the preseason, we didn't really have a great first game whenever we played, right? So our new draft pick, Evan Neal, he's going through some growing pains already against like second and third unit guys. And that does make me a little nervous. But like with guys like him who like lean on like really the punch move to like get that dominant power and press at the line of scrimmage and get that push going. He's just kind of getting beat because he doesn't quite understand that, he's new to the level of the NFL. So some of these second and third string guys are just as good as some of the guys that he played against in college on an athletic standpoint.
Are you worried about him having to go up against guys in that division like a Micah Parsons? Do you think it's going to be a tough matchup for him, especially year one?
Yeah, I think Micah Parsons might kind of have his way with him if he gets lined up over the rookie, to be honest with you. But I mean, I will think that we did see some pretty good film in the preseason. He is pretty quick on his feet. He's a really good run blocker.
Okay.
His pass blocking does need some work, but that's just coming with the mechanics and getting the reps and getting your feet right and be able to keep your hands inside and that kind of stuff.
All right, we're gonna bring it back to you talk about the run blocking. Saquon's back this year. Do you expect to see good things out of him, or are you worried that he's just been so hurt that his production's gonna fall off hard?
So here's my thought on Saquon Barkley, right? I like the fact that we didn't pick up his fifth-year option, but I do think he has a chance to be explosive. But I do think a lot of the offense is going to run through him, but he's going to be more of a force in the pass game for us this year than he is going to be in the run game. He's still going to get his touches, and I mean, sure, he might break one every now and then, but he needs to change up his running tendencies a little bit. He needs to be able to grasp, like, hey, that 3 or 4 yard run on first down is fine. But like the offense this year, from what I've seen in preseason and from some of the research I've done, like it's looking like we're gonna come out, and we're gonna sling the rock a lot. We're gonna be a throw first football team, and it has me really excited.
All right. So we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna jump over to JT. Let us know what you've seen from the Cleveland camp. There's a lot of drama going on over there. So what you see, what you hear?
It was definitely a lot of drama. In our running back room, we had some disputes with Kareem Hunt. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in this year we do move on from him if we can find a good trade that works for both of us. But I'm excited to see. There was a lot of talk of running a lot of two running back sets and having both Chubb and Hunt in the game at the same time. So I like to see that. We're returning, an elite offensive line. So I don't expect the running game to fall off. Uh, David Bell, our rookie wide receiver, he played pretty well in the preseason for the little bit he played. He's an elite route runner. So I'm hoping he can step in with Amari Cooper and Donovan People-Jones and be a really good production guy there. Just always being in the right spot, being where the quarterback needs him to be. Defensively, I'm excited about the Browns. I think we're slept on defense. I think that defense is gonna keep us above 500 while Watson is out. And Miles Garrett, Clowney are back. The only weak spots on that team are the defensive tackles. So if we can get some production out of some of those guys like Jordan Elliott or Taven Bryan, the defense is going to be pretty nasty.
So let me
Alright.
ask you something, JT, real quick. Sorry, Dan.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
So, did you want to bring? So, after you had heard that Deshaun Watson was going to be suspended for such a lengthy period of time, did you want your team to try to pursue a quarterback?
No, I just didn't see how it made sense. By the time that suspension got ruled down, we were already in the preseason with the appeal and everything. By the time you get a quarterback in the door, he gets into the system. It's going to be a couple weeks where you already have Brissett, who's a pretty good backup quarterback. I think in terms of elite backups, he's in that discussion in the NFL where if you need him to come in and win some games, he can do that. There's no point in giving up draft capital or anything to bring in somebody who's going to play 7-8 games for you and then is going to sit on the bench.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what are your thoughts on the injury to Greedy Williams? Is that going to put a hole in your guys?
I think it definitely hurts. Don't get me wrong. The cornerback room, we're still a little deep. Martin Emerson came in the preseason and had a pretty strong showing. So I'm hoping he can step into that role while Greedy's out for the first couple weeks. The thing that worries me more about Greedy is every year he has an injury, and I worry if he can put together a full season, because I think if he can put together a full season, he can become a pretty good corner, but he hasn't been able to do so far.
You can't quite cross that injury hurdle, huh?
Cannot. It's the history of all of our DBs. Denzel
All right,
Ward
well-
is guaranteed to miss a couple games every year, and Greg Newsome has had the same issues.
All right, well, let's hope he makes a speedy recovery and gets back on the field to help your very, very talented Browns defense as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Well, all right, Dan. What have you seen out of your two teams, the Steelers and the Patriots? Let's start with the Patriots first.
Okay. I mean, I worry about Mac Jones throwing the football. He didn't really have a lot of weapons last year. We brought in Devontae Parker. We drafted Tyquan Thornton. Now we are gonna miss Tyquan Thornton for a little bit. He got an injury, but I worry about that consistency. I worry about Mac Jones being able to throw the football. I mean, obviously the defense. The defense is how it is. We brought in Malcolm Butler, then we lost Malcolm Butler. So I feel like our safeties are solid, but I feel like we're going to struggle at the corner position. And the offense is learning a new offense, but once again, it's still Belichick. I mean, Belichick's going to do what Belichick does. He's going to come out. We're going to at least win 7 games plus. I don't think this is a playoff team. We're in a rebuild, but
Dan,
speaking of the record there,
Oh.
You said it, at least 7 wins. What's your expectation of the Patriots this year?
I feel like they're gonna be in like the 7 to 9 win range. Obviously, division games are tough. We got like probably the best team in the league in our division, so that's always gonna be a tough game. But I feel like we always play strong in the AFC East, and it had been our division for plenty of years, before this. But I feel like we can come out, catch a couple wins in the division, win a couple in the conference, and we should be at that 7 to 9 range for wins.
Do you think you guys are playing for a playoff spot this year? Especially talking with, the Jets seem to have gotten a lot better with their draft. Not that they're necessarily competing for the playoffs, but they got a lot better. The Dolphins definitely got better, and the Bills, are the best team in the NFL as it looks right now.
But the Jets have Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
like that's not. I mean that is a guy who in the past has been able to throw a lot of passes throughout the game. But I mean Joe Flacco, whenever he's not making good reads, he's one of the very, very inefficient.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think you'll see on that team, you got young receivers, and especially how does Sauce play on that the other side of the ball, and the reality is Flacco's only going to be starting the first couple games until Wilson gets back, so he's really just a placeholder as of right now.
Yeah, but do the Patriots play the Jets early in the year this year at all?
Let me look at the schedule real quick.
You guys have them in the first couple of weeks or something like that?
Well, Dan looks at the schedule. Bruce, what is your expectation for the Giants record-wise?
Maybe 6 wins. I'll be honest with you. I feel like this is maybe a 6-win team. I think unless Daniel Jones comes out and for whatever reason Brian Dable was able to pull the second coming of Josh Allen from the core that is Daniel Jones, I don't see us being above a 6-win team. Now, if Daniel Jones comes out and is able to turn some heads, make some plays, if Wan'Dale Robinson's able to be an early contributor with Kenny Golladay not playing so great, doing well in camp or in practice, and Kadarius Toney can stay off the injury report, and I think this team maybe has a chance to maybe surprise a couple people. Maybe we could hit that like 7 or 8 win range and like maybe be second or third in the division this year. But like I don't see this team. This isn't a roster that you can make the playoffs with. We have a lot of young pieces on the defense. With us cutting Blake Martinez, Azeez Ojulari is going to be the starting interior linebacker, and I don't really quite know how to feel about that because we bounced him on the outside as well last year, but like he's maybe going to be taking a portion of those interior linebacker snaps that were allocated to Blake Martinez.
Yeah, I think defense is definitely going to be a question for you guys. Not necessarily the defensive line. Leonard Williams is going to hold that down, but the linebacking core is definitely a question. Can Tate Crowder step in and be the leader that Blake Martinez was? And how does your defense recover from, the losses of veterans like Logan Ryan?
Well, I mean, from what I hear, word around the rumor mill is that Xavier McKinney, who did just get named a captain, by the way, I'm pretty sure him and Julian Love, I'm pretty sure both got named captains. But Xavier McKinney, I think he's kind of been looked to as that leader on this young defensive core.
Okay. And so, Dan, do the Jets play the Patriots early on this year?
No, so I mean, we play about mid-season, but we played the Jets week 7, and then we played the Jets week 9. So we'll probably see Zach Wilson, but we do play the Dolphins week 1, so that's gonna be a tough matchup. We are gonna get to see if that Tua Tyree connection's gonna work out. See how the Dolphins are doing.
All right. So Dan, let's hop over to your other team. How do the Steelers look?
Well, yeah, the Steelers are a tough defensive unit every year. So I'm not really worried about the defensive side of the ball. I mean, losing, Joe Hayden, that definitely hurts. He was solid for us. I mean, but I'm hoping that, with the pass rush being as good as it is, us being able to disguise blitzes so well that, we're able to get a lot of pressure. And we did bring in Miles Jack, so he's a great run stopper, plays the middle field very well. And so I feel like the defensive side of the ball is going to be solid. Now, switching over to the offensive side, George Pickens, an absolute beast. He's shown in preseason that, he's just a dog. And, hopefully he continues that throughout the whole season. We saw him taking a lot of, reps as the number 2 receiver in 2 receiver sets. So, maybe he'll have a little bit more of a starting role. With the quarterback room, it was very interesting to see that they named Mitch Trubisky the starter. I mean, I get it. He's a little bit more veteran, has a little bit more experience in the league than Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph in that starting role. But I felt Kenny Pickett looked better in the preseason, and in Jacksonville against that defense that it's definitely better than it's been in the past. But Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett, both scored touchdowns, and Mitchell Trubisky, was able to get him points on the board, but not with his arm. So it's gonna be an interesting season, but we'll have to see how it goes.
How do you expect the Steelers to do in that loaded division that is the NFC or the AFC North?
I worry, but the AFC North is a tough division. There's so much grit up there. They play hard, and it's hard to say that any game is a guaranteed W or guaranteed loss. So I feel like we might come out of there even. A little 500 out of our own division. I mean, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, so Yeah, hopefully that stays true.
So that's what I was gonna say because like it doesn't really matter who suits up for Pittsburgh year to year. Mike Tomlin will get at least 9 wins out of the squad. So like, you know,
Oh, for sure, for sure.
like
So the next thing I want to jump to is I got this power ranking pulled up going into week 1.
yeah.
We have the power ranking from NFL.com. So we have I'm going to share that to the screen so everyone can see that. So coming in at number 32, we have the Chicago Bears. I mean, can anyone really say that they're surprised?
No, I mean, I like some of their draft picks, but they're not ready to be competing in anything for right now. They're still struggling. They're rebuilding hard for sure.
Hey,
I mean, absolutely.
all I have to say is it's nice to not see the Lions in this spot.
It is true.
It definitely is. And I mean, the Bears have done a very good job of never improving on that O line. And
Expecting Justin Fields to come in and just be a miracle maker without people to block for him.
right. And so if that O line doesn't play well, they lost a lot of pieces on that defense. I mean, they got some young guys like Brisker coming in out of Penn State. You still have, Roquan Smith, who's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. But how much can those guys really do when there's so many questions around them?
I can't believe they won't pay Roquan Smith.
New management, they want their own people. But
I get it, but he's one of the best, and he's one of the best linebackers in the entire league, and he's 25.
Yeah. I expect them to honestly trade him with how that's going. But jumping to 31, we have the Falcons. I think they're kind of in the same boat. They got some really young, good young pieces, and Kyle Pitts. We'll see how Drake London plays. But other than that, they don't really have a young team. Offensive line is aging. They got a couple young guys there, but they still got guys like Jake Matthews on that line that their career clock is running out. Same with Cordero Patterson. So I think this makes sense for them as well.
Do we see
drafted
Desmond Ritter
this
play?
year, right?
Yeah. Do we see him play this year? Do we see
That's
him
what I was
play?
thinking.
I think at some point we see him play, but I think Mariota's going to get at least 6 games before.
He's gonna have the reins to start the game. So
Yeah.
Okay.
all
I
right.
can see that.
So we'll hop to 30. We have the Washington Commanders. I actually think this is low for the Commanders
Oh, for sure, for sure.
with that defensive line and everything.
I do as well.
That defensive line is too good. I know they didn't play great last year, but Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, De'Aaron Payne, like that's one of the best defensive lines in football. And just from that fact alone, they're going to keep you in football games.
I mean, I know the Commanders aren't the same as the Colts, but Carson Wentz almost took the Colts to the playoffs.
Yeah, and they brought in Matt Ryan to avoid choking the playoffs, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I'm just saying, Carson Wentz, that team wasn't great in Indy, and I feel like he did a good job there. So maybe we'll see them, run a little higher. But they still got to compete with the Eagles and the Cowboys for a spot in that division.
Hey, what about my Giants?
And I'll honestly say I think this is the best receiving core Carson Wentz has ever had.
Oh yeah.
But the Eagles, offensive line is such a downgrade from the Indianapolis Colts.
It definitely is, but on the Colts, you didn't have any other. You had Pittman who kind of had a breakout year, but other than that, you didn't have really any receivers there. And then obviously you had Jonathan Taylor, but he has some legitimate wide receiver threats. From 1 to 3, and Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Dotson. That we'll see. Can Carson Wentz, when he's given some weapons, can he do something with that?
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to see him improve, but at the same time, he's in my team's division. So don't do good, Carson Wentz, but play your heart out.
Well, at 29, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and
I'd like to see Trevor Lawrence take a step forward this year. I got to be honest. I know his first year was still with a lot of growing pains. But now that he has a coach that actually cares about football.
Yeah, I think, he definitely got hurt by that whole Urban Meyer situation there. It was definitely not a good situation, especially for an NFL locker room where, everyone's, a grown man. Everyone's got family. You can't act like that. Um, and we'll see what Doug
Yeah.
Peterson can do with that team. They definitely got better from last year. The question is how much better, and is it enough to win more games?
I still do think that the pick of Travis Etienne is going to hurt them in the long run for the development of their team. After already having James Robinson on their roster, who played very good, I think picking up Travis Etienne last year is really going to hinder the development of their team moving forward.
Well, we'll have to see because Etienne's listed as a starter now, so can he come in and be the 3-down back that James Robinson couldn't be just because Etienne is so much more athletic than him? Could that actually help that offense move the sticks?
Do you see Robinson maybe come into like a 3rd-down back kind of role?
I think he's going to be that 3rd-down back, that red zone back for them.
Like, hey, we need between 2 to 5 yards. Like, take the ball and get forward because that's what you can do.
I think that's what his role is going to end up being. He's going to be the power back to Etienne's, finesse, and I think it's a really good 1-2 punch if they use it right. So at 28, we have your New York Football Giants.
That is way too high.
You think you're lower than 28?
Yeah. I definitely think I understand that we are a bottom feeder team in the league right now because we've missed the playoffs so many years in a row consecutively now. Like I wouldn't argue if you switched us to 29 or 30. I'd be like, yeah, absolutely, you're correct. This team does have some bright spots, but it's not bright enough.
Okay. Well, 27, we have the Texans. I feel like this is high from, what they moved on from. I know the team won a couple games last year, but they still weren't good, and they didn't really bring in anyone to make that better.
General Mills.
Yeah, Davis Mills is good. I like him. I think he can be a very good starting quarterback, but that roster's just bad.
They brought in Stingley, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how he does on the defensive side of the football.
And from what I saw from some tape in camp, he was going crazy, but camp is different from the league. And when you're the number 1 starting corner on your team, we'll see. We'll see what happens when he has to match up against Jamar Chase and some of those guys.
Yeah, some of those big boys. Yeah, for sure.
So 26, we have a team from your division, Dan, the New York Jets.
Yeah, I feel like this is accurate. They haven't proven anything. Zach Wilson. He needs to show that he's going to be good this year. We'll see how Garrett Wilson plays for them. Their right tackle.
Mekhi Becton?
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to see how they do. But right now, this is where I feel like they'd sit. They haven't proven anything yet. This is an unproven team. We got to see how they do.
Yeah, I love their draft. I love what they did with their first round picks. You said what, Bruce?
I'm really good to see Breece Hall.
Oh yeah, Breece Hall play for sure.
Yeah,
He's an electric running back.
He is, and I love their draft class. Jermaine Johnson with the late round steal was great. Sauce Gardner looks to be the guy that they thought he was going to be. Garrett Wilson was a top level receiver out of this draft. So if those rookies can come in and play at a high level, it does give them a chance to at least compete in some games. All right, number 25, the Lions. I actually would like to see them a little bit higher with, how close they played so many teams last year. Dan Campbell brings fire to that team. I don't know if they're a playoff team or I don't know if they're a team that's going to, win 10 or 11 games, but they're definitely a team that you don't want to face.
Oh, for sure. They just need to figure out how to close out a couple of those games, get a couple, stops or, maybe how to, see if Jared Goff can, find, that same form he had in LA, and finish out some games.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. I definitely think that the Lions deserve to win that game that Justin Tucker broke the field goal record on. I'll be honest. They played so hard that game, and but I was so impressed to see that. But like, Justin Tucker just put the nail in the coffin because he's got a boomstick for a leg.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's why I have so much like optimism for the Lions this year was because when you see a team that loses like as many games as the Lions did last year, their morale gets broken. And no, not that they don't come to compete, but they don't bring that level of intensity that the Lions had every week last year.
Yeah,
And
Dan Campbell got them really fired up.
if he can do that on a team that gets a couple wins going, that can steamroll into something.
Yeah, that can really be a really big culture building move right there.
All right, in 24, we got the Seahawks. I actually think
I
this is too high for the Seahawks.
I agree with it. If they were higher, I'd maybe kind of be adverse, but like I agree with it. They don't have legitimate quarterback contest going on in their camp right now.
No,
They want to be a run first football team. They gave DK Metcalf some money, and they don't have a quarterback who can throw to DK Metcalf.
so yeah, and I mean, Pete Carroll says they want to be a run first football team, but you can't be a run first football team with an O line like that. It's just, and Geno Smith as a starting quarterback, it just doesn't work.
And then losing Bobby Wagner and like that was a really big core piece of their defense for a very long time.
Yeah, now I do like Jordan Brooks stepping in and filling in his shoes, but it is a big piece to lose. All right, number 23, we have the Carolina Panthers. What do you think about that, Dan?
I think they're solid. Like I like where they're at. The thing is, they had that hot start last year. Maybe we'll see them come out hot again this year. But it's like, can they keep it going? Like, Christian McCaffrey, needs to stay healthy. You know, they do have. I feel like they have a much better quarterback than they did last year. Baker Mayfield has shown in Cleveland that he can take an organization that wasn't doing so hot and take them to a decent amount of wins. So hopefully, we can see Carolina kind of developing that same thing. They got some good defensive pieces, you know, and I'd like to see them do better.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see Baker in Carolina. I think him being paired with Joe Brady, I think could be a match made in heaven. The way Joe Brady was able to do what he did with Joe Burrow in that LSU team, and the way he was able to spread the ball out and scheme so many guys open. I know the talent on that team was insane, but they had someone that was crazy open almost every play. And if he can spread that field out, he has the same talent, in Carolina with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Those are elite deep threat receivers, especially Robbie Anderson. If he can get going deep, he hasn't been great the past couple of years, but when he was with the Jets, he was a great deep ball receiver. And if they can spread the field out and let Baker do his thing, they might be a team they could upset a couple teams.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Moving on to number 22, I'm gonna let you guys talk about this one a little bit since this is my team. We have the Cleveland Browns at 22.
Ooh.
Okay. To start the season out, I feel like this is a good spot for the Browns, just because we don't know what the quarterback play is going to be like coming out right now. But I feel like anyone who thinks that the Cleveland Browns are going to be a bad team this year is I feel like they're going to do good. Like they're not going to lose all the games with Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson's come back and against the Texans. I feel like they're going to do good. Like they're going to. I mean, I feel like they're still going to be in that spot. Like they're only going to be like a 9-win team. I feel like it's going to be hard for them to make the playoffs, but I feel like they're not going to lose out and be like a 4-win team or a 6-win team. They're going to be that mid-range. It's AFC North. They're always tough. Like if the pass game isn't going, they got Nick Chubb, they got Kareem Hunt, they got that rookie running back who's absolutely eating in preseason. I don't know what you think about it, Bruce.
See, my thought is I understand that they lost Odell Beckham last year. Juice walked in free agency, but like I didn't really see any significant improvement to try to reconstruct that wide receiver room.
I see things like I like Donovan People-Jones. I felt like he did very good last year. I mean, could have just been a connection with Baker, possibly. I mean, did he bring in Amari Cooper? I know there's some issues about him finishing out routes and not running the whole play out. But he's still an elite receiver. So I feel like they could still do good.
Yeah, but I feel like Amari Cooper is like, I mean, obviously he's the best option for the ball too in that receiving core, in my opinion. But I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards DPJ. I like him, but like I don't think he's that number 2 guy.
Okay.
I think he's a solid number 2 guy when he has a really good one next to him. I think this is low for the Browns, just from the simple fact of that defense is very good, and with the offensive line and how much they're going to run the ball, the passing game is not going to matter as much because it's going to be so much play action that when they are passing the ball, they're going to be passing the ball to what should be open receivers because of how good that run game is going to be and how teams are going to have to play that run game, especially with Brissett at quarterback. They're going to target that run game more. So I think we get out of the 11 game suspension at least 6-5, if not better. So
okay.
I feel like this ranking's a little low, but I'm also biased.
Yeah, there's a little bit of optimism for you, but so let's move on. I think I see the Steelers are up
The
next.
Steelers are at 21.
I feel like you could put the Browns above the Steelers. I mean, it's just, you get the same thing. Like you're dealing with a big quarterback issue. Maybe the quarterback room's a little bit more secure with with the Steelers, but they do have a terrible O line. And like I hate to say that, but like their O line is so bad. Like, I feel like that's why they might have to switch to Kenny Pickett. He's a little bit more mobile. Like he might be able to get out and run a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are tough because that secondary, especially at corner, is a question. Losing Joe Hayden, and then that offensive line. Yes, it got better, but it didn't get good. And how does that work well with either a rookie quarterback or Trubisky back there, who has notoriously been known for missing open wide receivers because he senses pressure. So I don't know. I think the Steelers are still going to be a good team. I think they're still going to go above 500, but I don't know if this is a team that's going to truly compete for a Super Bowl.
I mean, the boy doesn't throw pick sixes. Like I'm just saying, like that's what he does. He doesn't do it.
True. He is the only quarterback to not throw a pick six. That is true.
Hey, wasn't he also the MVP?
He was the MVP.
The MVP, Nickelodeon. Yes.
Yeah, it means so much. All right.
So helpful. At number 20, we got the Minnesota Vikings.
Trophy to have. Ooh,
How do y'all feel about the Vikings at 20?
I like the Vikings this year. I got to be honest with you. I think Kirk Cousins is losing his touch a little bit, but I think Kirk Cousins got enough gas in the tank to probably make a little bit of a playoff. But one of those little dark horse teams to make the playoffs, make that wild card, that number 8 seed slot. Justin Jefferson, I really like him a whole lot. Dalvin Cook, he's been, kind of on and off the injury report over the last couple seasons. He'll miss a couple games here or there, but I mean, he's still a super consistent running back. I like their defense still. Their defense looks nice. Pat Pete is still holding it down.
I don't know. I don't trust the Vikings. I trust the Vikings to lose close games. And so because of that, I think this is kind of the perfect spot for where I see the Vikings at.
Do you think they're going to finish here? Do you think they're going to finish at 20, or do you think?
I think they're going to finish somewhere between 16 and 20. I just think that's where the Vikings are.
Just a middle of the pack kind of team.
Yeah. They could have 9 wins if the season goes right, but they could also have 6 wins.
All right.
Makes sense.
At 19, we got the Dolphins. I kind of feel like this is a little low with the improvements they've made, bringing in, Teron Armstead to Tyreek Hill. That defense was good last year. I don't expect them to take a step back, and I expect that offense to take a step forward. So I feel like this is a little low for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, You good?
Do you think Tagovailoa puts it together?
I think he
JT?
looks a lot better with Tyreek Hill. I mean, if you look at Tyreek Hill last year, he wasn't running deep routes. He was running a lot of, slants and short routes, because of how deep defenses were playing. And I don't expect that to change too much just from the fact that it's Tyreek Hill and you have to respect that speed. So I think he's going to be doing similar stuff. And two is nothing else other than accurate. You can say there's questions about his arm strength, but he's an accurate quarterback. So even if they can't get the deep ball going, Tyreek Hill last year was used to not catching deep passes and still being productive. So having just a receiver like that, immediately makes that offense better.
Yeah, for sure. And they did bring in Teron Armstead, so Tua might have a little bit more time in the pocket, this season. He's very solid for the Saints, so let's see
Yeah.
if he can keep it up.
All right, let's move to 18. The New England Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I like where they're at. Like, I like, they're like in the middle of the pack. It's kind of, I feel like how they're starting out. It is tough. They did lose Josh McDaniels. He's no longer our OC, so we're kind of finding our way as as the offense goes. But it's Belichick. Like I said, it's so hard to say anything about the New England Patriots as long as Belichick is still holding the reins.
He does
Yes.
he always finds a way to win or to make his team competitive. So I do expect them to be solid this year. I don't think they make the playoffs this year, especially with losing JC Jackson. He was so important to that defense with the way they were able to play last year that I think the defense takes a little bit of a step back, and offensively, I think there's still a lot of questions if that defense isn't as good as it was last year. Does Mac Jones have enough with the receivers that are in that offense to be able to try to win a shootout if necessary?
Yeah, I mean, we're running the Kyle Shanahan offense now, so we'll see how that works.
I can't wait to see Steve call your guys' plays from the sideline.
Oh yeah, that mullet for sure.
The mullet definitely looks like he's on crystal meth, but well, move to 17, the Tennessee Titans. I think
Yeah.
I think this is not a bad spot for the Titans. They're a good team. There's questions at receiver, but they brought in Robert Woods. That's a consistent 1,000-yard receiver right there. So if they can find some production somewhere else, you still got Derrick Henry. Even if he is, even if that foot injury lingers and he's not as quick, he's still, a top level running back. And that defense is still like, yeah, they lost Harold Landry for the year, but that defense is still very good, and I expect them to keep them in games.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know. Go ahead, Daniel.
I would say, but what do you say about their technical number one, corner? Played what 3 games last year? Like that.
In who, Farley?
Yeah, Caleb Farley. Like that. Like that's a very young corner room right there. Like
It is.
their
But
DVs. I mean, yeah.
it makes it better when you have Kevin Byard sitting behind you that can clean everything up.
Yeah, but I think we saw them struggle. Was it 2 years ago when Kevin Byard had to play so far down in the box? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, did he get Zach Cunningham? He's still playing linebacker. That that front four is pretty solid, but yeah, we'll have to see how they play.
Oh, for sure. I think the
I gotta be
quarterback.
honest.
I think the quarterback room is a question, but
That's what I was just about to get into. I think
I
that
still
there's maybe a
expect
question
that
to have a
defense to be good.
quarterback. I understand that Malik Willis is a super raw prospect coming out of college, but like Ryan Tannehill hasn't been able to take that next step. He gets to the playoffs and then he doesn't know how to play football.
I think the problem is the Titans have paid Tannehill so much money with that contract. You can't not start him.
True.
All right, 16, the Arizona Cardinals.
Right in the middle of the pack, huh?
I actually like that. They lost some key pieces on defense. They lost Chandler Jones. That was huge. So I understand this. I don't think the defense is going to be as good, but I think the bringing in of Hollywood Brown, is huge. The acquisition of Zach Ertz late in the season was big for them. I don't expect this offense to slow down.
I mean, I expect them to maybe slow down a little bit because the suspension of D-Hop for the first 6 games of the season for PEDs. But Marquise Brown is going to get those targets allocated to him, and Zach Ertz is probably also going to pick up a little bit of that target share. But I'd like them to be able to see them use Rondé more.
Yeah, I heard Rondé Moore's gonna take care of that slot that Christian Kirk did last year. You know, a lot of those like slots and so yeah, he's gonna be their guy, getting a lot of those targets that Christian Kirk got last year. Which, Christian Kirk did well. I mean, did he get overpaid? Absolutely, but I feel like he thrived in the Arizona Cardinals system.
Is James Conner still the workhorse back in that offense?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, he's still a solid back. He's a strong runner. You're not going to expect him to break any big runs, but he's going to get you 3 to 4 yards of carry, and he's going to be productive with his touches. So he's still good.
Okay. I mean,
At 15, we got the Cowboys. I actually think this is really high for this team.
I do too.
The loss of Tyron Smith is huge.
Amari Cooper was kind of a decent part of that offense. I understand that they're trying to force feed CD1 to become the number 1 wide receiver now, but like to be able to force feed your number 1 and make him a good ball player, you got to have a good number 2 around him. Zeke hasn't really been worth the amount of money that he's been paid. Dak is kind of getting into that area where he's iffy now. He's like, oh, well, we gave you this whole bunch of money and you can't win a playoff game.
Yeah, and I worry about that defense. The offense is not going to be as good putting up as many points. So can that defense live off of playing as aggressive as it did last year? Especially with the loss of like Randy Gregory as a pass rusher and with the way, Diggs has looked in camp and everything, is Diggs going to be the same player that he was last year?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, got to shout out to my boy from Penn State, Micah Parsons. He'll be crazy again this year, but like I said, like I agree with the other two. Like I feel like the rest of that defense might struggle a little.
100%, 100%.
Is Leighton Vander Esch back in the starting lineup?
Is he back with the Cowboys?
I'm not 100% sure. Let me fact check that real quick.
I mean, I worry about that offense, especially with CD going into the first couple weeks is going to be the only receiver on that team, and the offensive line got worse. They lost Lael Collins in the offseason. It's Tyron Smith they're not going to have until later in the year. I just think that offense is not going to be anywhere close to what it was last year.
I mean, Turpin looked good, but I mean, like he's a small receiver.
He is in fact still on the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think he signed a 1-year deal. If I remember,
really?
Yeah, I think Leighton Vander Esch just signed a little 1-year contract with them. Nothing crazy because they don't know how he fits into their system for the rest.
That's fair.
All right, let's size up.
So the next team we got the Philadelphia Eagles at 14.
Oh, another NFC least team.
I actually like this. I think what they've done with that roster, the defense is good. The acquisition of James Bradbury, definitely helps. There's someone across from Darius Slay to help, play that kind of aggressive style of defense that they've been playing a lot of man to man. Bradbury struggled last year, but is that because the rest of the Giants secondary, corners struggled? So is he able to pick it back up with Darius Slay? And then offensively, it's just a loaded offense. If Hurts can take that step up and be a more consistent passer, this is a team that could compete for a Super Bowl.
See, now I had them at 10. Like I had them in the top 10 ranking. I thought they were going to be really good this year. I thought that, they had a chance at a deep playoff run. For sure.
Yeah. I think the way that team's lined up, you got a great O line. You got running back by committee, and they were productive last year. You got Dallas Goedert, who's an underrated tight end. It's an offense that can compete.
They brought in AJ Brown, who he was always very good with the Tennessee Titans. So
Absolutely. I love what Howie Roseman has been able to do with that team and really
Oh yeah.
turn that team around in such a short time. Well, move to number 13. We got the New Orleans Saints.
I like it. I like the Saints a lot going into this year. I think if Jameis Winston can stay healthy with the acquisition of Tyrann Mathieu and having Kamara, most likely not getting disciplinary actions for what happened for the weekend of the Pro Bowl. I still think this team has a chance to be pretty good with Chris Olave coming in. I did hear that Michael Thomas is potentially doubtful for Sunday's game.
Yeah, I did see that, but I think with the depth that they were able to bring in at wide receiver, Winston has people to throw the ball to. Kamara is still a good running back. We'll see how the offensive line can play without Armstead. He's an elite tackle. Can Penning step in, or is someone else going to have to play to fill that role? But I mean, I love that defense. That's
I do too.
an elite defense.
Cameron Jordan is super good. I do kind of think that not having that chippy guy, CJ Gardner-Johnson, is going to kind of affect that defensive unit a little bit, take away a little bit of its.
I mean, they brought in the Honey Badger.
Yeah, I think Matthew brings in that same energy though. So I think
But I don't really see Tyrann Mathieu doing some of the things that some of the antics that CJ Gardner-Johnson has in the field. I don't really see that from Tyrann Mathieu. He takes control of the defense in a different way.
Now, no matter what they've gained or lost, one of the biggest losses they had this past season was the loss of Sean Payton.
Oh,
how does
sure.
that affect this team?
Now the one thing I am at least on the positive side for the Saints is the defensive coordinator is now the head coach, and so with the way that defense has been and has been led the past couple of years, I expect him to be able to step in and fill the void.
All right.
All right, at 12 we have the Colts.
I like this spot. I don't really have much of an opinion on it. I like this spot with where they're at, with what they've got going on down in Indianapolis. I like this spot.
I think this is a good spot for them with the acquisition of Gilmore. I mean, Dan, you know a lot about Gilmore.
I don't know. Actually, I think this is high. I mean, it may just because I'm not super hot on Matt Ryan. I feel like he's kind of lost his touch. I mean, Gilly's still very good, but he's an older corner. Can they do it? Like, I feel like their receivers haven't really changed much, and Matt Ryan's always done really well, but Matt Ryan's also always had like a top 10 receiver. Now, don't get me wrong, Michael Pittman could go crazy this year, but is he as good as Calvin Ridley or fucking Julio Jones was?
And I mean, I don't think so, but I think with the way that defense could possibly play, and if Jonathan Taylor could still be that effective in the run game, it doesn't necessarily matter if you have a quarterback that's not turning the ball over. It can be a really good game manager. The Colts can be a good playoff team. I don't see this Colts team winning a Super Bowl, but I think they could at least compete and maybe upset a team in the playoffs.
Oh, definitely not. This isn't like when they brought in Phillip Rivers.
Oh, no. I think this is a little like out of the three quarterbacks they've had the past 3 years, I like Matt Ryan the most, but I think the Colts window is starting to close with, some players are getting older. They're starting to lose some of those offensive linemen. They're going to have to start replacing, key guys that have been on that team for the past couple of years.
Oh, definitely.
Moving on to 11, we have the Raiders.
I had the Raiders higher than this. I like I said, I like that Fresno State connection. Derek Carr, super underrated every year. So I feel like he's doing very good with Devontae Adams. They have Hunter Renfrow on the other side who did well last year. Now he's an elite number one to pull coverage away from him. He's no longer going to be getting that double team as much with Devontae Adams, because if they don't double Devontae or Darren Waller, like, they're going to go crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Like I actually have them higher as well. I mean, that offensive line is awful. You could argue it's the worst offensive line in football, but with the number of weapons and I think Carr is an underrated quarterback that if he can get the ball out of his hands and they can make plays quick, I think, he has the receivers to be able to do so to mitigate that offensive line. And then, the defensive bringing in of Chandler Jones is huge to, line up with Max Crosby. They should have a really good pass rush. Trayvon Morg will take a step up in year 2. I think this is a team that can get hot and definitely compete for a Super Bowl in the AFC. I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the AFC this year.
I can see it.
Number 10, we have the Ravens. Personally, I think this is high.
I do as well.
They lost Hollywood Brown. They didn't really replace him with anyone. Like, yeah, they had a pretty solid draft, but Lamar didn't get his contract. So how does he play out of his mind for contract year, or is it going to be one of those things where he starts, there's trade rumors start to pop up, and does Lamar not want to be there? And, does those, him not having a contract start to make issues in the locker room?
I don't know. I know the Ravens fans really like Lamar Jackson, but the only issue that, like I see, I don't have a problem with them not, I guess, re-signing him or extending his contract or whatever. I don't really have an issue with that. I guess it's just that, like, I kind of expect to see him not be as dynamic on the football field with something like this. Like, hey, I want to be paid, and like maybe he'll slide a little bit sooner, or he'll not take off to run as many times to like escape the pocket or whatever. Like maybe it changes how he plays a little bit until he decides, hey, you need to pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah, but I mean, I believe they can franchise tag him. So, Lamar may just be stuck in Baltimore, even if he doesn't want to be. I doubt he's going to pull, a Le'Veon Bell and retire.
Yeah, they're going to give him an egregious amount of money because of what the Cleveland Browns did with Deshaun Watson.
Well, I think that was the issue with the whole contract situation, was he wanted more guaranteed money and the Ravens weren't willing to give it to him. So, I mean, it seems like the Browns' play of disrupting the quarterbacks in the AFC North worked a lot sooner than expected.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do still like the Ravens defense, but it is a defense that's getting older with Calais Campbell, and Marlon Humphreys is starting to age up. Marcus Peters is not the corner he used to be. So, I mean, we'll see if the production, you start to see some production fall off from some of those guys. Number 9, we have the Chargers. I actually like the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a top 3 or 4 team this year. The defense is loaded with Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, and offensively they couldn't be stopped last year. They didn't lose anyone. I don't see that offense slowing down.
Yeah, Williams.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Eck was an elite running back. This is a team I can see easily winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Number 9, or at number 8, we have the Denver Broncos. Dan, what do you think about Russell Denver?
Oh, well, I think Brucey had something to say real quick. So, yeah, let's let Brucey hit him.
I gotta be honest. I think this is high.
Yeah, I agree with him. This is way too. I think this is way too high for Broncos.
Yeah, I know the let Russ cook memes are out there, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, Russell Wilson hasn't had that chance to show that he's great because Pete Carroll won't let him throw the ball." But like, you got to think that there's maybe a reason why Pete Carroll wouldn't let Russ throw the ball. If he had a dynamic quarterback who had an arm that is absolutely ridiculous, you normally, when you're building around a player, you're not gonna not tell your quarterback to. You're not gonna not use his strengths. Like, if Russell Wilson could throw the ball like he says he can and the way he wants to, then Pete Carroll would have let him do it.
Well, I think the issue turned into the Seahawks didn't have an elite defense. And so if you want to throw the ball as much as Russ wanted to throw the ball, it gets hard to win games, especially in the playoffs, because you don't have a run game. Your defense is going to struggle to get stops. And so you just end up losing games because you can't expect your offense to score a touchdown every time they touch the field.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can see your point. Dan, your thoughts?
I've always just seen Russell Wilson so like good, for like a half season. Like it seems like he plays really well in like the first or second half. Maybe he'll be able to put it together. A whole season with the Broncos, but I don't think throwing a quarterback in this situation makes him a top 10 team. Like Russell's good, but I don't know if he can elevate them to a top 10 team. Maybe deep playoff run. I think they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to, they'll probably be a 10-win team, but I don't know if they're going to be a top 10 team at the
Yeah,
end of the season.
yeah, Dan, I absolutely agree with you. That offensive line is still not great. It's not it's not as bad as the offensive line of like the Raiders, but the offensive line is still not good. Like, can Jerry Judy and Cortland Sutton step up and be what Tyler Lockett and DK were to Russ? We don't know. And then like defensively, I think that defense is so reliant on Bradley Chubb staying healthy so that they have a very good pass rusher. And he hasn't been able to do so far in his career.
Definitely. All right.
Number 7, we have the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs are higher than this. I mean, I know, like I said, I know they lost Tyreek Hill, but I think bringing in Juju and MVS. I mean, you still have Patrick Mahomes, you still have Travis Kelce, you still have Andy Reid. I mean, that defense lost a little, but I mean, Andy Reid's an elite coach. Andy Reid will find a way to get it done. Pat Mahomes, his legs he's too good with his legs. He'll get out there, he'll make plays, he'll find an open receiver. I feel like they're higher than this. I feel like they're top 5.
I don't. There's a lot of questions on defense for me with the Chiefs, but like wide receiver core wise, I actually do like their wide receiver core. Like, yeah, they don't. You have someone as dynamic as Tyreek Hill in there, but Juju's a really good slot receiver. MVS is a great deep threat. So like, they got 2 really good receivers at what they do to replace one elite receiver, and I think with an elite quarterback, it still works.
Oh yeah.
Well, at number 6, we have the Green Bay Packers. What do you think? What do you think about the Packers, Bruce?
I like the Packers. I gotta be honest. Other than Aaron Rodgers kind of flaming his young wide receiver camp like to the media, that sounds like something that should be addressed behind closed doors. But Aaron Rodgers is going to do what he does. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw a lot of touchdowns, throw for a lot of yards. He's going to make plays with his legs. He's got a reliable backfield to hand the ball off to if they're able to lock him up in the pass game a little bit. But Aaron Rodgers has always been able to stretch the field.
Yeah, I definitely think there's questions about the wide receiver core. Who's going to step up, who's going to be that number 1. But the rest of that Packers team is good. I like the defense. I like the offensive line, the running back core. So I think passing wise, the first couple of weeks, it might be a little tough. They're going to have to use a little bit more, checking down to the running backs and some different stuff like that. But I think they're going to figure it out.
Well, apparently down the rumor mill, it says that they believe that Alan Lazard is going to step into that number 1 role, the Lizard King.
Okay.
I mean, he's got the measurables and the physical gifts and stuff to be able to be a number 1 and be a productive number 1 wide receiver. But like, we'll just have to see how, knowing that he's going to be guarded by the best DB on the other team, we'll see if he can make something special happen with that.
Sure. Well, Dan, do you think Aaron Rodgers can win his 3rd straight MVP?
I feel like they Aaron Rodgers is too loved not to win it. I mean, is there a chance that maybe Josh Allen could win it? Possibly, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to be in that conversation. He's going to be a finalist at least.
I 100% agree with you. He doesn't throw picks. He's a smart football player, so he's gonna get his receivers open. Number 5, we have the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'll be honest. If there are any Bengals fans out there listening to this podcast, I hope I do not offend you, but I think last year was a fluke. I think Joe Burrow played very well. Jamar Chase popped off. I think like that is a very good college connection, but for the life of me, I don't understand why your defense played as well as it did last year. Defense played out of its mind last year.
Yeah, the defense did, but I think they got better in the offseason. I think the Bengals only got better. They addressed some offensive line issues. Brought in Leo Collins. With the drafted, a dynamic safety like Daxton Hill. I think only helps that defense. So I feel like the Bengals got better.
I know that Jesse Bates is a really good, really formidable player on that defense, but like I just like for the life of me, looking at some of the guys that they had and some of the positions they were using, man, I for the life of me couldn't tell you like why this defense was performing so well. I just couldn't figure it out.
I think it runs into the same thing as why the Cowboys defense was able to play as well as it did. When that offense can score as fast as it can and is as dynamic as it can, that defense can play aggressive because they don't, they can let up a little bit more points and the team can still compete. So when you can play more aggressive, the defense normally forces more turnovers, gets more stops.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Let's see, number 4. I know, Dan, you're high on this team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I feel like they're gonna do good. I feel like they kept a lot of good pieces. I mean, like I get they lost Gronk, who was a big time target for Tom Brady, but Tom Brady came back. Tom Brady's gonna eat. Tom Brady does it every year. He always performs. At the top of the league. Just because he doesn't win MVP every year doesn't mean he's not a finalist every year. I feel like Julio. Julio's not his former self, but I feel like Julio's gonna do very well for them. They still have the elite linebacker core with Devin White leading that. Their corners are very good. Like I feel like this is gonna be a tough team to beat.
I do think that, but you have to ask about the question of wide receiver health. Is Godwin going to come back as the same player? Now you would expect so with how medicine has developed, but you never know with an ACL injury like that. And can Julio Jones stay healthy?
Yeah, these are some very very big questions that we'll have to find out throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, number 3, we have the 49ers. Bruce, what do you think about Trey Lance?
I like this kid. I got to be honest. I think Trey Lance has a really good opportunity ahead of him to be able to, hold down a good starting job for an electric offense for maybe the next decade.
Now, do you think
also,
Trey
however,
Lance
like,
deserves being the
guy?
starting quarterback, being ranked at number 3 going into the year?
I don't think so. I feel like maybe that ranking going into the year was under the impression that maybe Jimmy Garoppolo was still going to be the starting quarterback. I like how they reconstructed Jimmy G to keep him on the team. That way Trey Lance has a reliable backup just in case.
So do you think Jimmy G works back as a starter this year?
It depends on how Trey Lance plays, to be honest with you. If Trey Lance comes out there and he's firing on all cylinders and he's making plays and George Kittle's making plays for him and they're able to get the run game going and Deebo Samuel does what he does, I think he has a chance to take and keep the job. But if he comes out and he's struggling a whole lot and they find themselves at like 2-5 or 3-4 or like 3-5, that area, like maybe we see Jimmy G go in for a game and then maybe they sit Trey Lance down and they try to put him back behind Jimmy G to see if he can absorb some of that third-hand teaching from Jimmy G training behind Tom Brady whenever he had his time with the Patriots.
I agree with a lot of that. Dan, what do you think about the 49ers defense? Does that defense good enough for them to be listed at number 3, a projected Super Bowl team?
See, I think 3 is high to start the season. I mean, their defense is good. They scheme very well. They may not always have the best guys at every position, but they definitely play as like one of the top defensive units every year. And yeah,
and you can't count out elite pass rushers like Nick Bosa.
Yeah, Nick Bosa. They have some other guys on that D line that they just eat. They eat up blockers and allow some of the other blitzers to get in, get the job done. So
yeah, let Fred Warner clean everything up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, number 2, we have the Los Angeles Rams. I feel like this is a little high with this team. I think they're definitely going to take a step back. They, the loss of Von Miller and Andrew Whitworth and OBJ, I think are going to be tough on this team. I don't think, at least early on, the offense is as dynamic as it's going to be. Especially going into this Bills game, you got a lot of questions. Is can Allen Robinson come in and fill that role of OBJ? And they're completely different players. So it's hard to say that, oh yeah, he fits right into that role because, Allen Robinson isn't, he's a big bodied, uh, consistent receiver, but he's not the electric player that OBJ was.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Stafford and Cooper Cup are still gonna, they still have great connection. They get breakfast together every morning, you know, during the season, like they're watching film, day in and day out, doing their thing. So, I feel like they're still gonna do very well. Like it's gonna be tough to slow down that offense, but like you said, they are missing some good pass blockers with Andrew Whitworth being gone, and a little bit of help from OBJ, and they lost. Was Robert Woods with them last year?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he got hurt last year.
yeah, they lost Robert Woods as well.
He went to
Yeah.
Tennessee, right?
Yep,
Yeah, he's
Tennessee.
in Tennessee now. Yeah. So I got some questions about this Rams team. I do still trust with the star power that they have there that they'll figure it out, but I could see them having a rough start to the year.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right. Well, last but not least, we have the Buffalo Bills. Number one, I don't think anyone can disagree with this team. They were, arguably the best defense in football last year. The offense was going crazy, and they brought in Jamison Crowder, and the defense only got better with the acquisition of Von Miller. So I don't see how you can't have the Bills at number one. They were one of the best rosters in football last year, and they only got better. So this is the team that's, a Super Bowl favorite for sure, and is going to be hard for anyone to beat.
I agree with you. This is the team to beat in the AFC. Like if you want to find your way to getting that Super Bowl ring, like this is the team you got to beat to get to that Super Bowl ring. Because I think this team, top to bottom, probably has the best roster in the NFL. I 100% agree with that.
Oh, for sure,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, so to end the pod, since we're getting to the end here, I want to see, who do you guys think who are your Super Bowl favorites? Who do you expect to be in the Super Bowl at the end of this year?
Dan, you want to start us off with your
Yeah,
Super Bowl?
okay.
Super Bowl pick.
So I think coming out of the AFC, it's kind of clear to say that they're the best team in the. They're on paper right now. They're the best team in the league to start the season out. I got the Buffalo Bills, making it all the way through the AFC Championship, playing in that Super Bowl. Coming in on the other side, though, is I do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming back. That one final push for Tom Brady, try to sneak another Super Bowl ring out before he officially retires all the way. I feel like he's trying to sneak one more out before he hangs the cleats up forever. And in the end, though, I feel like we could see the Bucs sneak one out over the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bucs can win it all. I mean, it could be just because I want to see Julio get a ring. And I'm a big Patriots fan, so I still got love for Tom. But I feel like that's a very good team. It's very solid. They can win their division, and get a nice playoff spot.
I think I agree with you. I think the Bucs are going to be a tough team in the playoffs, but my Super Bowl prediction's a little different. So to me, I think it's going to be Chargers Bills in the AFC Championship game, and I feel like it's going to be just a great game. And honestly, it might be a better game than what the Super Bowl is going to be.
Oh, for sure,
But
probably a little bit of a shootout, definitely.
I think the Chargers sneak one out of the Bills, and the Chargers go into the Super Bowl, and out of the NFC, I feel like the Rams make it, and honestly, I really like the Saints this year, so I'm going the Rams get upset by the Saints and we see a Saints Chargers Super Bowl where Jay Herbo wins his first Super Bowl.
You think Jay Herbo in his third season is gonna win a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
All right,
I
all
got a
right,
feeling.
all right, all right, Mr.
So
Boosie.
my prediction for the AFC Championship game is the same as yours, JT, but I've got a different outcome. I've got the Buffalo Bills gonna run. They're not gonna get stopped by nobody. They're gonna make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but I do have them meeting the Rams. I have the Rams meeting the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game, and Aaron Rodgers being able to upset, leading to a Bills Green Bay Packers Super Bowl.
Okay. Nice little, the old school versus the new school. Both gunslingers. Both
Yeah.
both have
But who
that
pulls it
absolute
out?
cannon.
Does Josh Allen get his first Super Bowl, or does the bad man secure his second Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, I got to be honest. Like, it's been a long time since Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl, and at this point, his Super Bowl ring is pretty much expired. So I think Aaron Rodgers maybe he grabs his second one.
Okay.
All
I
right.
have the Packers winning the Lombardi this year.
Okay. So none of us have the Bills. The Bills pulling it out this year. All the Bills getting
They're a
upset.
good team, but I don't know if they can win it all.
Yeah, they're a very good team. I agree with that as well. They're super, super good. They're probably going to be the best team in the regular season. But playoff football is a different animal.
For sure.
Well, I want to thank you guys for listening to the first episode of the Boys and Ball. I'm JT, and we have the other boys here,
Dan,
Mr.
what's up, Chief?
Dan and Mr. Boosie.
Mr. Boosie signing off for the rest of the night, guys.
All right, we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for tuning in.